Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are all spiritual seekers on the path to awakening, to enlightenment, to moksha. So when we think of moksha, liberation, or enlightenment, we think of it like a carrot. You know, there is this golden carrot that when I get, then something special will happen and I will be enlightened. But unfortunately, that golden carrot is attached with a 6-foot long stick to my forehead. And so every time the more I chase after enlightenment, after this golden carrot, the further away it goes. And I'm never seem able to reach it. The masters tell us that enlightenment is not something to be obtained in the future, in some future place, maybe when I am in some holy place or in the presence of some holy Mahatma, then I will attain enlightenment. Or when I read that next book, then I will attain enlightenment. Or when I listen to that next lecture, then I will, somehow a light will shine. And suddenly there will be a halo around my head and I'll be walking 6 feet above the water. So we have all these wrong ideas. But the masters tell us that enlightenment is within. Jesus said the kingdom of God lies within. What they mean is what Sri Krishna is showing us in the 11th chapter, that I am within you. Everything is in me and I am in everything. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyat. So Bhagwan is not somebody to reach somewhere, or after death, maybe I will go to some place, some holy place. Bhagwan Sri Krishna calls it Param Dham, Tad Dham Paramam Mama in the 15th chapter. So maybe after death, I will reach somewhere. The moment I see God in me, then Param Dham is in me. God is when God is where Param Dham is. God is where the supreme abode is. So enlightenment is to discover God's presence as my own nature within me. God is not somebody somewhere else. And that is the whole teaching of all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, everywhere Bhagavan Krishna says, I am not far from you. And even today's shlokas, he will tell us that. And if he is with me, then why am I doing all these sadhanas? Then what is the purpose of doing all this studying, studying all the scriptures? What is the purpose of attending lectures? What is the purpose of doing service, doing bhakti, doing puja, going to pilgrimages? What is the purpose of all that? So they say the purpose of doing this, why we are attending scriptures, lectures, doing all these sadhanas, pujas, is to keep our mind in sattva. We have 3 gunas, tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tamas is ignorance, rajas is passion, and sattva is purity, is knowledge. So as long as we are in the company of wise people, as long as we are listening to the scriptures, as long as we are in such a class, then our mind remains in sattva. And then as soon as we get out of the class, or as soon as we get busy in the world, then our mind comes down from sattva back down to rajas, which is the work, and then tamas, which is selfishness or laziness. So the idea is that through these scriptures and through this repeated listening, that's why repeated listening of the scriptures is very important. And that's why these ideas Bhagavan Sri Krishna repeats again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, so that this knowledge may become so firm. So the knowledge may become firm. And then as I am staying in sattva, as we have also heard in Vivek Chudamani, slowly sattva becomes pure sattva, where then there is nothing else but sattva. And finally, mind then disappears into that awareness. So that is the essence of the teachings that we have heard so far. But Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, when Arjuna says that, I'm so grateful to you, Bhagavan. So Bhagavan says, it is my grace, as we had also discussed last time. Bhagavan says, it is due to my grace. And again, Arjuna also says, Tvaya prasadat achyuta, because of your grace. So why does Bhagavan shower his grace on Arjuna and not on the others? There was Yudhishthir, who was very noble. There was Drona, Bhishma. There were so many other great warriors. And then why does Bhagavan not shower his grace on us? Why on only Arjuna? So there is a very beautiful Tamil saying. If anybody here knows Tamil, maybe they can correct me if I'm wrong. It says, Patram Arindam Pichayidu. I don't know who. I think Manora.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Pathiram Arindi Pichai Podu. Yeah.
And yeah. So what it means is that this Tamil saying means that that you should give charity to a suitable individual. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna sees that Arjuna is a suitable individual. That's why he bestows his grace upon him, because Arjuna was a very pure-minded soul, was a sincere friend of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and he asked. See, that is the main thing. When we go to a guru or to a teacher, instead of wasting time on talking here and there, let us get knowledge from him. Ask him, oh, Swamiji or Mahatma Ji, share the knowledge instead of talking politics or talking other things. So let us make ourselves suitable patram. Let us make ourselves suitable vessel where the guru can pour his knowledge. And that's what Arjuna becomes. And that's why Bhagavan Sri Krishna bestows upon him. And you and I also can get this divine vision, as we had talked about. Vishwaroop is not only what Arjuna sees, but as we can see, if we look out here in our room, everything is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. My table, my chair, my computer. If I look out the window, the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, the trees, the birds, everything is that. So the Vishwaroop is not something that only Arjuna could see. You and I can see. All we have to do is remove I and my, aham and mama, and we'll talk more about that. As long as I think myself separate from this world, until then, this Vishwarupa will not be seen by us. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna last week said, Sudur darsha midam rupam drashtavanasi yan mama deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshana kankshinaha. Even the devatas in heaven who have done so much, who have a pure body, pure mind, have done so much, tapas, they would have reached that goal of being devatas, whether they are Indra or Varuna or Vayu Devta, sun god, even all of them, but they are not able to see that divine form. And why are they not able to do that? We would all think, they are so much more evolved than us. If they cannot see, how can I see? So what is the missing ingredient is what Bhagavan will tell us today. How you can see my divine form. That will be the message today. And we will end the 11th chapter today here and start the 12th chapter next week. So let us see, we'll do the verse number 53, chapter 11, shloka number 53. Sneha will please chant. Naham vedairna tapasa.
Naham vedairna tapasa.
Nadanena na chejaya.
Nadanena na chejaya.
Shakya evam vidho drashtum.
Shakyamevam vidho drashtum.
Drashtavanasi mam yatha.
Drashtavanasi mam yatha.
All together. Naham vedairna tapasa. Nadanena na chejaya. Shakya evam vidho drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha. So Bhagwan Krishna repeats what he had also said last week. Naham vedair na tapasa. Aham means Bhagwan says, I na cannot be seen. And the last fourth part of this shloka says, Drishtavan asi mam yatha. Drashtavan, you have seen me in this way, O Arjuna. Mam yatha, in this way I have been seen by you, but naham vedair na tapasa. So not by study of the scriptures, nor by tapas. Tapas means austerities, doing all kind of austerities. So I cannot be seen by study of scriptures. I cannot be known by austerities. Not by charity, na danena, na cha ijyaya, not by sacrifices, doing all these yagnas, all these yagnas. I cannot be known. Shakya is not possible. Evam vidho drashtum. Evam vidho drashtum. In this way, I cannot be seen. I cannot be known. Just as you have seen me, you have known me. So person says, oh, you mean study of Vedas won't help? Okay. Charity won't help. Austerities won't help. Rituals won't help. That's very good. I never do any of those anyway. I don't do any rituals. I don't do any tapas. I don't go to lectures. I don't read Vedas. I definitely don't give a penny in charity. So, bahut acha. I agree with Bhagwan. You cannot. So, so what Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying is that these activities alone will not reach me. These activities have to be accompanied by two specific things. So we are not saying that you should not do yajnas, not do study of scriptures, not go to lectures, not do tapas, but there are two missing ingredients. And one of them is the ego, aham and mama. See, the aham and mama, I and mine, this ego is the biggest obstacle. So what happens is that I do a lot of puja, right? So I think there is no greater bhakta than me. All these people, they don't know what bhakti is. They don't even go to the temple, or I have gone on pilgrimage. So instead of seeing Lord's glory there and seeing how so many great devotees of Bhagwan have come there, and I am so blessed to be there, but I all the time thinking, what, I'm here, all those people at home, they don't know what they are missing. So when I do all these, or when I do charity, it's very good to do all these, to do the study of scriptures, Vedas, yajna, tapas, dana, charity. It's very important. But if this is going to fatten my ego, make my I and my stronger, then the purpose of it is defeated. So the idea is that this knowledge should make me more humble. Vidya dadati vinayam. We have talked about that. So the more I get this knowledge, the more humble I should become, that there is this almighty power called God, and you can call him by whatever name, Jesus, Krishna, Allah, Shiva, whatever, but there is this almighty Brahman, this consciousness, because of whom everything is happening. This whole universe is functioning because of that and that alone. And I am just a very humble, small part of that totality. So that idea, not that I am useless or I am not worth anything. God is in me also, just as he was in all these Mahatmas. Everybody has the same consciousness. I have to connect with that and become an instrument. And that is the idea of doing all these holy things, that it should reduce my I and my. And that was the problem with the demons. See, with Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, and they had done so much tapas. You think you and I have done tapas? Nowhere we could be close to what Ravana had done, what Hiranyakashipu had done. They had progressed so much power they had. But what they did, their I and my was not gone. In fact, their I and my became stronger. Ravana said, I am the strongest in the universe. Hiranyakashipu said, I cannot be killed. And so the problem is that these austerities and all these sadhanas, these spiritual activities, should be accompanied by reduction in my ego, reduction in that. And all the scriptures say that. The Kathopanishad says, Atma cannot be known by pravachanena labhyaha, na medhaya, na bahuva shrutva. He says you cannot get it by pravachan. So he said, oh, that's very good. Then I can log off and go right now, because they say Atma cannot be reached by pravachan, cannot be reached by thinking, cannot be reached by listening. So he said, aha, that's very good. I agree with Kathopanishad. But then again, Kathopanishad later on, Yamraj says, Atma areva shrotavyam mantavyam nidhi dhyasitvam. So he says, Bhagavan, please make up your mind. Should I listen or should I not listen? Should I do or should I not do? So the point is that these alone will not help. One has to be constantly alert that why am I doing this? What is the purpose of doing it? And what am I going to get by doing these scriptures, doing all these sadhanas? Sadhanas are very essential. As we said in the beginning, these are sattvic activities and must be done. And as we are I see quite a few of us who are at retirement or close to retirement, more and more time should be spent in these activities. I should reduce the amount of time I spend in worldly activities and spend more time with God. And whatever works for us, somebody may be a karma yogi, may like to serve the world without I and my. Another person may be a bhakta and may love to sit and do puja and read, the scriptures, the Bani, the, Guru Granth Sahib, whatever. That is very good. Somebody else may be a jnani and may want to have knowledge. I may want to study the scriptures. Other person likes to meditate. In my belief, all are good. Do all. Do as many as you can. You can do karma, do bhakti, do jnana, do meditation, whatever it takes, because God is such a important goal that one should, whatever opportunity one gets, to take it, to reach him as much as possible. And for that, what happens is we slip sometimes because this ego comes that, I am somebody special. So who should watch over us in the path of knowledge? The Guru. So constant contact with a Guru, with a teacher, either directly or through the scriptures, to keep myself. And on the path of bhakti, God. You say, God, you please take care of it. Bhagwan, aap karo, mere se nahi hoga. I cannot do it because for me, to myself to reach is impossible. You please carry me. Meri naiya, is par kara dena. There is that famous bhajan, Bhagwan meri naiya. So you can, and God will always watch. There is a very beautiful story of Narad ji. Some of you may have heard, but it is worth repeating. Narad ji was a great devotee, great saint. In fact, his name, Nara, Nara means knowledge, the means one who gives. So Narad ji's mission throughout was to give this knowledge to all the three lokas. He used to travel in heaven, earth, and in the lower worlds. And he had done tremendous sadhana, tremendous tapas. He had great knowledge. And so one time he was talking to Bhagwan Vishnu. He says, he used to always be with Bhagwan Vishnu. They used to travel many times together. He said, Bhagwan, I have done so much tapas. I don't think your Maya can touch me. So Vishnu Bhagwan says, yeah, you are right. So he says, but they were sitting by, in the little forest. He says, there's a river nearby. Can you please go bring me some water? I am thirsty. So Narad ji says, okay. So Bhagwan is sitting under the tree. And so he goes to bring water. As he's taking a cup of water, suddenly he sees this most beautiful girl come. He has never seen such a pretty girl. And immediately Narad ji's mind gets, tempted. He looks at her, he says, Sundari, you are so beautiful. Will you marry me? And all his tapas, all his sannyas, everything gone. So she said, of course, a handsome, great yogi, I'll be happy to marry you. And so they get married, and then they start living in the village near that river, and they have 4 children. And Naraji is very happy, he's so happy. He's there, he has wife, beautiful wife, 4 children. He's taking care of them. Of course, he forgets, Bhagwan forgets, I went to bring water. Wo to gaya. So then some years pass by, and then suddenly there's heavy rain, so much flooding, so much rain. The river gets up, and the whole village is submerged. All the houses are submerged, and Naraji is holding on to 2 children, carrying them, and his wife is holding on to 2 children, and he's holding on to her hand, and they are somehow trying to get out of the water. Water is under them, and suddenly a big current comes, and his 2 children get thrown off, and as he's trying to grab them, his wife also goes, and he starts crying, my wife, my children, and somehow a big wave comes and throws him on the shore. And the moment he lands on the shore, Bhagwan Vishnu says, Naraji, where's my water? You went to bring water. What happened? So he says, what happened? Where's my wife? Where's my children? Where's my village? And then he understands. He says, Bhagwan, your Maya, only you know, only you can handle. I'm so sorry for my arrogance, So the point is that these sadhanas are very good, but I have to submerge my ego and remember that God alone is the doer, and everything is happening by myself. I am nothing. Even the fact that I can move this finger, God is in me. God is doing it. Everything, whatever I'm speaking, hearing, smelling. So the surrender is very, very important. And surrender comes how? With bhakti. Bhakti is the most important ingredient. And so Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, continue to do these activities. In fact, do more of them. If you are listening, listen more. If you are doing karma yoga, do as much as you can. If you are sitting for bhakti for half an hour, increase it to 1 hour. If you are reading the scriptures from 1 hour, increase to 2 hours, 3 hours. Sitting for meditation, increase it. If you're doing mala, instead of 1 mala, do 2 malas, 3 malas, 4 malas. So the more you do, the more your mind will be purified, but constantly have the attitude of gratitude, that there is somebody powerful because of which. So gratitude is very, very important. So that is the essence of this first verse, that gratitude to God. God is everything, and there is no I and my. That has to be reduced. Now there is one more missing ingredient, very important ingredient, which Bhagwan will tell us, that why this dana, veda, tapas does not help. One is I and my, and the second ingredient we'll do in verse number 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha.
Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha.
Aham evam vidorjuna.
Aham evam vidorjuna.
Jnatum drashtun cha tatvena.
Jnatum drashtun cha tatvena.
Praveshtun cha parantapa.
Praveshtun cha parantapa.
Together. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha. Aham evam vidorjuna. Jnatum drashtum cha tatvena. Praveshtum cha parantapa. So he says, what is the missing ingredient? Bhakti, bhaktya. This is the third case, by bhakti. Indeed, bhaktya. What kind of bhaktya? Anyaya. So what kind of bhakti? Anyaya bhakti, where we'll talk about what is anyaya. That is a very important word. So ananya bhakti shakyaha. It is possible to do what? Aham evam vidho Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, in this way, I, through ananya bhakti, where there is no other, What will happen when you have devotion towards me? What can you do? Jnatum, you can know me. Drashtum, you can see me. And tatvena jnatum drashtum. So you can not only know me, but you can see me in essence. What is my essential nature? And cha praveshtum, and you can enter me. Enter into me, O Parantapa. Parantapa means the scorcher of enemies, because Arjuna had conquered so many enemies in the past. So here Bhagwan is telling him, your biggest enemy is your mind. If you have overcome so many other enemies, now you have to overcome your mind, O Arjuna. So what is the missing ingredient is bhakti. And what is bhakti? So Gurudev in his commentary says it very beautifully. People think bhakti is, throwing flowers or doing puja, doing the 16 upkara, 16 types of prayer. That's all very good. Going to the temple, that is wonderful. There is nothing wrong with that. One must do that. Going on pilgrimage, going to holy places, bowing down to the Lord. But Gurudev says bhakti is not only confined to that. It is the identification, how much I become one with God, how much I bring God into my life. In all my activities, there should be that one essence alone, and that is called bhakti, where there is no difference between me and God. That's why when we are in the presence of these Mahatmas or saints, we feel very calm, because God's presence is there. Any of these great Mahatmas or saints, when you have met, all of you have, you see how beautiful their presence is, how calming is, because they have become one with God. That's why Jesus says only in the pure in heart will see God. So when your heart is pure, when it is negative, when there are no negativities like kam, krodh, lobh, mad, moh, matsarya, no anger, greed, jealousy, hatred, all of those, a mind that is pure, free of negativities, and there is unquestioning trust that God alone is everything. There is nothing except God. So that understanding one has to have. And how can that be done? We find it very difficult. How can I all the time think about God? I have so much else to do. I have so much in the work, I have marne ki bhi fursat nahi, that's a very famous line. I am so busy. You don't know how busy I am. But when somebody calls 1 hour, we have no problem talking, or on the internet, we have no problem. 1 hour, 2 hours, Facebook, WhatsApp, I'm equally guilty. So I'm not blaming anybody. So the point is that cut down that time and spend more time in God. I read a very beautiful example. Say, suppose there is a river going in one direction, very strong stream, and you want to divert the water for some agriculture, for some farming, and the water is just going to the ocean. So what you do, you put a small dam. You don't block the whole river, because if you block the whole river, it will flood. So a part of it you block, and then you make a channel and you divert that water. And slowly, you block more and more and divert more and more. Ultimately, none of it is flowing into the ocean. All of it is flowing towards the farming or for the city or whatever you need the water. Instead of water being wasted, it is being utilized. So similarly, your and my mind is all the time is like a current going towards the world. I want this, I want that, if I get this, if I get that. So slowly, dhire dhire, turn your mind at least thoda towards God, at least half an hour a day, 1 hour, instead of 24 hours in the world, 23 hours in the world, 1 hour towards God. Okay, that's good. And slowly increase that time till ultimately all my time, not that you are not doing your work, but even when you're doing your work in the world, it is God's work. And Bhagavan will tell us in the next shloka how to do that. So slowly I have to rechannel my energies in that direction. And my mind, which is stuck in the world, how to get out. See, I am at this moment caught in the world. Teri maya mein phasa hua hu. That is the famous statement. How do I get out of where I am stuck? That is the teaching of the Upanishads, talking about how to get out. So there was this librarian in this small town. In the middle of the night, she gets a phone call. So she wakes up, say, who's calling me in the middle of the night? I'm not a doctor. I don't get calls in the middle of the night. So she wakes up. Hello. So he says, is this the librarian? So she's, how did you get my phone number? And why are you calling me in the middle of the night? He says, I got your phone number from the phone book. But why are you calling me so late at night? He said, I want to know what time the library will open. So she says, library will open? What is the purpose, reason to call me at midnight? Library will open at 9. He said, it won't open till 9? She said, yeah, it won't open till 9 and you cannot get into the library. He said, who's talking about getting in? I want to get out. He was stuck in the library. He forgot when she locked the door. She said, I don't want. So same way, you and I are stuck in this world and we don't know how to get out. And so we need a librarian. And who is that? That is Bhagavan Sri Krishna of the Bhagavad Gita. He will be the one who has the key to unlock the door for us. All we have to do is pick up the phone and call him. And where is his phone number? His phone number is everywhere. You don't have to look in the phone book. Just close your eyes and Bhagavan Sri Krishna, just remember him and you are right with him. So that is the path of bhakti. And for bhakti is the missing ingredient. See, in all of these, the missing ingredient is bhakti. Like when I'm making a dessert and I forget to put sugar. So what is the missing ingredient? Sugar. When I'm a Gujarati, when I'm making all vegetables, dal everywhere, what is the missing ingredient?
Sugar.
Sugar. Just as we put sugar in everything, so we have to put bhakti in all our activities. No activity should be without bhakti. So constantly remember that. When you are cooking, when you are putting sugar, say, oh, thank you, Bhagavan. So anything, like we said, when you're taking a shower, be grateful for the nice warm water. So all of these activities, one should do it. So what is the meaning of Ananya Bhakti? Now, this is a very, very important, which Bhagavan has mentioned in many places. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janav pariyupasate tesham nitya bhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. A lot of us are doing 9th chapter chanting. So this is one of the important shlokas. One who remembers me with Ananya Bhakti. So what is Ananya Bhakti? So there are two aspects to Ananya Bhakti. One is Ananya, no other. So what does it mean? I have no other desire except God. But what we do, we use God to get something else. May my stock market go up. May my 401k do well. Please make sure my children are doing well. No, all those things are okay to ask. But the main thing one should ask God is, I want you. I do not want you to use you to get something else. Of course, when we are in distress, praying to him is nothing wrong. It is the best. But one should not only pray when we are in distress, but pray to him constantly and say, I want you. You are my goal. Nothing else is as important as you. And whatever I have is yours. Tera tujhko arpan kya lage mera. We always sing that in the Aarti, but we don't do it. This body I have is not mine. It's yours. I'm a trustee. I have been given this body by you to serve the world. And when it is time for you to take it back, I am ready, because I don't own it anyway. I'm just a tenant. I'm occupying this body. When the body is to go, Bhagavan, you can take it back. So what my children, they are not my children. I'm a trustee. I have been entrusted by you to take care of them. As long as they are in my house, I do my best to take care of them. After that, I don't have any ownership. So having God as the goal, no other goal, and that whatever I have, my house, it doesn't belong to me. It is your house. You have given it. If you take it away, it is still fine. I am okay whether I have it or I don't have it, because I'm not the owner anyway. You are the owner. I am just a tenant. I am a trustee. So that is very important. The second meaning, one is that I have no other goal except God. The second meaning of Ananya is that God is not different from me. I am not separate. God and I are one. That is the Advaita philosophy of all the Vedanta, the Upanishads, that there is no other. Because if God is somewhere else and I am somewhere else, then God is not all pervading. If you say God is everywhere, he's Sarva Shaktiman, he's everywhere, then everything is him. So I am not separate. So when Bhagwan says you can know me, see me, and enter me, what does he mean by Jnatum, Drashtum, Cha, Praveshtum? So Jnatum, Gurudev in his commentary says that when we approach the master and we study from him or her, whoever the teacher is, then I get to know who God is. So the Bhagavad Gita is the best text given by the mouth of Bhagwan himself. So when I listen to the Bhagavad Gita or read Puja Swami Chinmayananda's commentary or any other good commentary, then I get to know. So that is one. Then when I have understood something, then I say, oh, I see. Don't we always say that if there is a complex problem, math or something, and I don't understand, and then somebody explains, oh, I see it. Now I understand it better. So to know first intellectually, and then second is that I myself have understood that. That is called I see. So knowing and seeing, that means what I have heard, I have now understood. And the third is enter. Enter is where there is no I. There is no ego. God alone is, and becoming one with that. Yeah. So that's why Bhagwan in the 9th chapter says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvevam atmanam mat parayana. The last shloka of the 9th chapter says, put your mind in me, become my devotee, and you shall reach me. So the last shloka today gives us very, very stepwise. There are 5 steps how I can develop this Ananya Bhakti and how can I enter, become one with God. Most beautiful shloka. In fact, this shloka, the last shloka of this chapter, is the essence of all the sadhanas, all the teachings. And not only that, but this connects us very beautifully to the 12th chapter, which will be starting next week. This shloka is a summary of the last half of the 12th chapter. The entire second half of the 12th chapter is summarized in this beautiful shloka. So Bhagwan is giving us a summary of what he will tell us in the 12th chapter. It's like a preview, upcoming attractions. So we'll do verse number 55. Mat karma krin mat paramaha.
Mat karma krin mat paramaha.
Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha.
Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha.
Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu.
Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu.
Yasamameti pandava.
Yasamameti pandava.
So beautiful 5 steps. Together. Sorry, we'll chant together. Mat karma krin mat paramaha. Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha. Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu. Yasamameti pandava. So the last section is Sa Mam Eti Pandava. Pandava, O Arjuna, you are one of the Pandava brothers. Sa Mam Eti, such a person, Mam Eti, comes to me. Who? Yaha, who is that? So Bhagwan has given us 5 indicators, 5 pointers of who comes to me. Bhagavan says, Mat Karma Krit. Mat Karma Krit means one who does all activities for me. And second is Mat Paramaha. Paramaha means I am the supreme goal for him, for her, or such a devotee. Then Mad Bhaktaha. Such a person is my devotee, devoted to me and me alone. Sangha Varjitaha. Sangha means attachment. Varjita means free from all attachments. And what is the fifth? Nirvaira means he has no hatred. Sarva Bhuteshu. Bhuteshu, those of you who are studying Sanskrit, is the seventh case, multiple. Sarva Bhuteshu, in all beings, he has no hatred. So 5, he does all activities for me. I am the supreme goal. He is devoted to me. He has no attachment and he has no hatred towards any beings. So let us see a little bit one by one. So what is dedicated all work to me? Does that mean that he gives up all job and puts on orange clothes and wanders the forest? No, we can't all do that because we have all the other, because we have not chosen the path of sannyas. We are grahasthas. So what it means is that whatever job I am doing, say I'm working for State Farm, or I'm working for Chevron, or I'm working, my employer is not State Farm or Chevron or a pharmacy or hospital. My employer is Bhagavan. He is my employer. When I'm cooking for him. When I'm cleaning the floor, I'm doing it for him. And all my activities are done not to please anybody, not to even please my employer, to please Bhagavan. What it is that with which God will be pleased. So that has to be my constant focus. And it's not, we are not doing it for God, we are doing it for our own purity, because the closer we come to God, the more our mind will become evolved, will become pure. So that's why Raman Maharishi says, Ishwar Arpitam, Nechaya Kritam, Chitta Shodakam, Mukti Sadakam. So he says activities that are dedicated to Lord, performed unselfishly, what do? Chitta Shodakam, they purify our mind, and Mukti Sadakam, they become path to liberation. How to get out of this world is to do activities devoted to God, and God is my employer. So that is one. And then Mat Paramaha, and my supreme goal in this life is God and God and God and God alone. There is no other goal, no other purpose. I came on this earth to attain God. I have got this human birth, this intellect. The only purpose of my life is to reach. Everything else has to become secondary. One and one goal alone. You know what we do? We have 20 goals. 1, 2, 3, 4, I have goal to this. 19th is service to Guru, and 20th is reaching God. So 1 out of 20, no. It has to become 20 out of 20. That has to be the main goal. That is called Mat Paramaha. And Mad Bhakta, we already talked in detail in the last chapter, in the last shloka. He is my devotee means he has total identification with me and takes me in all his activities. Then we say how to develop detachment. See, that is another very important topic, Vairagyam. We are doing it also in Tattva Bodh in the Thursday group. And what is Vairagya? Vairagya is distaste for worldly objects. Because why are we so much attached to the world? Why? Because we are attached to our body and our mind. That is such a tremendous, powerful attraction that we can't let go. I am this body. And so everything I must do is for taking care of this body. all the time I am constantly engaged in this, feeding the body, nourishing the body, beautifying the body, collecting more for the body, all the time, making friends for the body, everything, all our activities. So reduce doing things for the body and extra time. Of course, essential health, we have to take care of. We have to take our medicine, exercise, all those things. But beyond that, give up this identification that I am the body. Say, I have a body. Start by saying that I have this body to take care of, and it is for given to me by Bhagwan. So I have no ownership of this body. That's number one. And even our relations, our children, our friends, everything is for the body, all the eating, the party. So reduce all that. That is number one. Number two, we are attached to our mind, our ideas, our thoughts, our emotions. These are my ideas. Only my will go, and I and love and this and that. So as we slowly reduce our attachment to our body and our mind, that much extra time I have to attach to God. That's why when Gurudev was asked, he was entering an elevator, Swamiji, what is the secret of Vedanta? He said, attach and detach. 2 words. Detach from the world, attach to God. Hold on to God, and slowly, again, does not mean that you don't love people. We'll talk about that. In fact, a devotee loves God so much that he sees God everywhere. So his love for God actually increases, and his love for people also increases. If you have dealt with these Mahatmas, they have so much love for all of us. But the more I get attached to my body and mind, I fall from the higher to the lower. So they say, from the lower, raise yourself to the higher. And how can I do that? They say, see one. That's why he says, Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu. Do not have hatred for anybody. How about this person who has cheated me, took my money, and has been mean to me? That's fine too. I see the oneness. I see God alone, and I have no hatred for anybody. And my activity is unselfish. I'm doing all activities for serving the world. And even if somebody has done something bad, that's okay. God will take care of it, or his karmas. Why should I have hatred for anybody? And we get so caught up, oh, politically, I'm Republican, I'm a Democrat, I hate all. No, don't hate anybody. Everybody has a right to their opinion. So that idea that everybody is God, that clear vision should be there. We say, but I should have darshan of Bhagwan. We should have vision of God. And like it is said in the great saints, like Saint Francis used to see Jesus visions all the time. Ramakrishna Paramhans used to see Mother Sharda, Mother Sharda, but the Mother Goddess, Mother Durga all the time. If you have that, it is very well good. But even if you don't have it, if you see God in everybody, then you are having darshan at all times. See them in your spouse, your children, your neighbor, So constantly seeing God everywhere is that darshan, that is the vision. So in Kathopanishad, it is said very well, Yav Renute, one who chooses God. There is a phrase in Christianity, he's the chosen one. It is not God who chooses. If we choose God, then God is ever available for us. God is constantly with us. The problem is we don't choose God. So they say constantly choose him, Vrenute. One who chooses God will reach God. Like if you choose computer science, you will learn computers. If you choose medicine, you will learn medicine. If you choose engineering, you will learn engineering. If you choose God, you will reach God. So that is what he says. And what the teaching is the samashti. There is vyashti and samashti. There are 2 phrases. Vyashti means I, one, and samashti means the totality. So seeing God everywhere at all times, that is called samashti. And then who becomes our support? I become your support. When he says Mam Eti, means Bhagwan says, I become your support, and I am not far from you. I am as close. That's why even Kabir Das ji says, Moko kahan dhoonde re bande, main to tere paas mein. I am right next to you. I am the breath of your breath. Mundak Upanishad says, and Kain Upanishad says, I am the eye of your eye. I am the mind of your mind. I am the breath of your breath. So I am your very essence. You and I are one. I am not separate. So when we do these 5 activities, when we serve God, do activities dedicated, when we make God our supreme goal, become our devotee, become identified, develop more attachment to God and less to the world. And the 5th one is have no hatred for anybody, then Samam Eti Pandava. That is how we reach Bhagwan. Most beautiful verse. Actually, these 3 verses today are so nice, where he says that do all spiritual activities, but have the missing ingredient of I and my. Reduce that when you do these activities. And the other missing ingredient is bhakti. So when you have bhakti and when you reduce I and my, and you do all spiritual activities, then Bhagwan Krishna says, when you do them devoted to me, then you will reach me. So most beautiful verses. I really enjoyed this whole chapter is so powerful. I think we should all read it again and chant it and think of when you chant, see Bhagwan Shri Krishna in all of the forms, as all the devtas, as all that, everything, and the beautiful perfume, and his all hands are his, all heads are. It's very, very nice to chant. Everything is in him. So we'll do the closing chant at the end of each chapter, and then I'll just briefly give the meaning. Om Tat Saditi
Om Tat Satiti
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su
Upanishatsu
Upanishatsu
Brahma Vidyayam
Brahma Vidyayam
Yoga Shastre
Yoga Shastre
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade
Vishwarupa Darshana Yogo Nama
Vishwarupa Darshana Yogo Nama
Ekadashodhyayaha.
Ekadashodhyayaha.
So this closing section was put by Sri Madhusudan Saraswati at the end of each chapter to tell us what is the summary of this chapter, what is the purpose. So Om Tat Sat. Om is of course one of God's name. That's why we start all mantras with Om. Tat means that, Sat means existence or truth. So Om, O God, who is that existence, Tat Sat Iti. Thus it is said, where is this? Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, in the revered, respected Bhagavad Gita Su, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is what? Which is an Upanishad. Upanishad Su means the essence of the Upanishads. All the Upanishads is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the Upanishads, which is the highest knowledge. And what is the knowledge given in the Bhagavad Gita? Brahma Vidyayam. It is the Brahma Vidya. It is the highest eternal knowledge of who God is, Supreme Brahman, and what is my relationship, and that is called Yoga Shastra. Yoga Shastra means how I can yoke myself to God, how can I attach myself. So this knowledge and its practical application is given in the Bhagavad Gita. And how did we hear it? Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. It is in the dialogue between Shri Krishna, the Lord, and Arjuna. And what is the chapter called? Vishwarupa Darshan. Vishwarup, the cosmic form Darshan, was shown to Arjuna, and each chapter is called a yoga. Like first chapter is called Arjun Vishad Yoga, Second is called Sankhya Yoga. So here it is the science in a way. Yoga is the science. So Vishwa Rupa Darshana Yoga Nama. So that is, this chapter is called Vishwa Rupa Darshana, and it is a Ekadasho Dhyaya. It is the 11th chapter. So before we do the question answer, I would just like to make an announcement. I know a lot of things are happening. Yeah, a lot of things are happening in India, which we need to help. And of course, the COVID is a big issue and all of us are helping what we can. But there is a long-term project that is going on in the Chinmaya mission, which they are doing the crowdfunding in the month of May. And this project, yeah, I mean, starting in May, but for the next few months, which is called the Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, where in Kerala, they are making a huge university over several, 100 acres, which was Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda's vision that there should be a university where, see, we have a lot of universities that teach the modern sciences, management, business, science, engineering, medicine, all those. There are many universities. And then there are some smaller teachings where there are, teachings of the Upanishads going on, maybe in Varanasi or maybe in some ashrams. So, but what Gurudev had a vision that in this university, not only the Western sciences, but all the ancient Indian sciences will be taught. Sanskrit will be taught, bachelors and masters. They will teach all the Ayurveda. They will teach all the ancient sciences and astronomy and astrology, and how our great rishis were able to, like they already knew. Copernicus described in the 16th century that the earth circles around the sun. In the 16th century, Aryabhata, much before Christ, already had written in the scriptures that the earth revolves around the sun. It's there. And he was much before Christ. So 2000 years before Copernicus, our rishis already knew that the earth revolves around the sun. So the point is that all these ancient knowledge is dispersed here and there in the Vedas and so on. But in this university, there will be a marriage between the ancient and the modern. And the students who come out will be not only proficient in the sciences. Now, of course, they will have a BA and an MA and PhD and so on, but they will also have a very firm understanding of the ancient Indian science. And it will be taught in a very scientific way, not just like we have been studying. Shraddha is not just blind belief, but belief with understanding. So this teaching will be given to the students. And so they are doing the funding. And if what I will be posting on the Gita app, WhatsApp, I think some of you are not members, so we will add you to the Gita WhatsApp, and we will post a little introduction to this university. And we would request every one of you to become ambassadors, where if you can give yourself, give, that's very good, but also get people who are close to you to give, your family members, your children, your friends, neighbors, non-Indians, because it is a donation for education. It's not a spiritual. See, some people are reluctant to give to a church, but we are giving to a university. So it will be for donation. So we need ambassadors who can then raise money. And so I will be posting the introduction to this on the WhatsApp. Those of you who are not on Gita WhatsApp, I'll request Neha to please add them. There are 2 or 3 other names. And so whatever you can do, that will help, because this is a great cause. And this is something which will go on for years and years. A university, once it is founded, 50 years, 100 years, this knowledge will go on. So it's a long-term project. And the idea is it will benefit students for years and years to come, thousands of students. So it's a very, very worthwhile project. So please think if you can be part of it. Even whatever smallest amount you can give, it will be a very most worthwhile donation. And Komal and Sonali are our coordinators, Komal Desai and Sonali. So you can contact them. They will be on, Komal will be on the WhatsApp group also, on this Gita class WhatsApp group. So you can contact her, and we can put Sonali's name also. Or you can
Yes.
even contact us, Neeru or me, and we will be happy to forward your message to them. Because if you know us, you can contact us and we'll be happy to. So this is a very, very worthwhile project. And I thought it is something, because Bhagwan says, Mat karma krin, do my work. So there is no better work than something like this. And make me your goal and serve me, be my devotee. There is no better way. So, because we all benefit so much from Chinmaya mission, we learn so much. Whatever little I know is all from Gurudev and from all his other acharyas. So this is our way to give back, because they say knowledge, when you obtain knowledge, you must give back, because knowledge obtained free will not benefit. It is our duty, when the Guru has taught us, it is our duty to support and give back. So thank you very much for joining and listening. We have time if anybody would like to add any questions, any comments. This is a very beautiful shloka, so please feel free to contribute.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would Arjun have been convinced if God had not shown his Vishwa Rupa to him? What would have been the outcome?
I think the knowledge, I think the 18 chapters, the 700 shlokas, because Bhagwan, even after the Vishwarupa, he gives 7 more chapters. So the idea is that the knowledge is ultimately the one that should convince us. If we see the Vishwarupa, it is fine. If you don't see it, even then, it is the knowledge. Nahi jnanena pavitram iha vidyati. There is no greater purifier than knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. That's what it says. Only with Shraddha you can. We have done it in Tattva Bodh also. So knowledge is very important. Without knowledge, otherwise it becomes blind belief. And so that is the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita and of the 700 verses.
People need to see to also, get convinced of the knowledge.
Right,
I think
right.
maybe that's what he saw in Arjuna.
Right. Yeah. So there's Neeru saying that if you see, then you get more convinced. But in my opinion, if you have, if you have the knowledge, then
But knowledge will then become more.
Yeah.
You have more Shraddha.
knowledge will become firm. So they all strengthen each other. Service should strengthen bhakti, who is the God I am serving. And then bhakti should strengthen the desire to know. I wish to know God. And once I know God, then I develop more bhakti. And then I develop more ability to serve. So they're all connected. Knowledge, service, and bhakti all three are collected. So bhakti is to see God. And then service and knowledge, all
Sometimes,
three.
These even miracle people see, then they get more belief in God.
Right. So people say, miracles, but again, I think my mission warns against miracles,
Yeah,
doing
they
all
do,
these,
because
because then you
people
get
get
caught up in that. The
So,
idea is Gurudev never believed in showing any miracles, doing any miracles. He said knowledge and knowledge and knowledge alone. That is the most important.
knowledge leading to bhakti.
Yeah, knowledge leading to bhakti.
That
Yes.
is the Parama Bhakti.
And that is Parama Bhakti, and that is along with karma. So I think all three are important. Yeah, Sharad?
Hari, thank you for the beautiful illustration of bhakti and giving different examples. As you know, most of us and most other people are take this bhakti in the wrong way. But I did want to make one comment on bhakti, and Sri Adi Shankaracharya says that of the 3 paths, bhakti is the most efficient and the most fastest way. Now, even having said that, like you stated, in all 3 paths, you try to do, most of it all the time and with whatever you can, but also at the same time, each of us are built slightly a different way and may have more tendency toward the gnana versus bhakti or vice versa.
Yes.
And the second comment that I wanted to make is that I found very touching, not necessarily in today's lecture, but like, for example, throughout the Gita, in different, almost like on the internet, when you get a pop message every time from like an advertisement, Sanjaya pops out every so often with a message saying, hey, Krishna Bhagwan is saying this and it's going to come true to the king, but he never takes it to heart.
Right.
Similarly, in life, every now and then we come across a major hurdle. But, you know, that's a sign telling us, hey, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. So here the
Right.
king, Dhritarashtra, he never really wakes up to this message that Sanjay is delivering. And that message is essentially to us in life too. Every time we come across a difficulty or a hurdle, that, hey, I need to wake up.
Thank you. Very good. Very good message. Thank you. Anything else? Kusum, you have anything? No.
Not really, but I just want to say what you said about the crowdfunding, about the Chinmaya University. I think it's going to be like a Nalanda University that we had it in olden times. And I think we should just be a part of Gurudev's vision for such a beautiful his vision though. So I think I'm just so
Like that example.
touched by it. That's it. So I hope everybody could, at least do whatever they can in the best way. This is the opportunity given to us by the mission, where sometimes we don't know where to donate, what to do, or how we can serve. This is the best opportunity that has been given. And I really thank you for announcing this. And the second thing I want to say that how compassionate God is, that he keeps on giving us reassurance that do this, and you will come to me. In the 9th chapter, 10th chapter, even this ending part, he says, do the bhakti with all your BMI, with the body, do the actions, with the mind, do the feelings, and through the thoughts. So all our BMI, he also guides us, not only says, okay, this is a theory, but at least gives us the practical, which I really like it. And the assurance is unbelievable, so that we all can see that vision and we all can reach him really, ultimately. But thank you for expressing so beautifully. This is my favorite chapter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I have just one small comment.
Yeah,
Uh,
Satish, go ahead.
So, I think the trouble us Indians have is that we have forgotten who we are. I think this university plan is such a beautiful thing. If you think about it, I hope that it expands not only in Kerala, but all over the country, because as fundamentally, we have forgotten who we are. India was and has been a Vishwa Guru since ancient times. And when we forget our identity, I think all these things fall apart. We become miserable.
Right.
All the problems arise, and all the animosity, everything else occurs because of that. And this is not only in India itself, but I think if India becomes a Vishwa Guru again, then the world will benefit from it, because it will be peaceful world. And I think this is fundamentally a wonderful thing. And I think we all should support it.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, next week, Daksha. Yeah, Haji, Geeta ji boli. Yes, please.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
My question is, when we try to practice this detachment and see God in everything, whether we are cooking or doing anything, but if you are living in a bunch of, in the family with a bunch of people, none of those look at the thing like that. Instead, when you do try to follow this, either they reject your viewpoint or they just make fun of that. How do you survive and handle that?
That's a very good.
I try it and then I am okay for a couple of days, but then when I hear the comments and words, I just kind of fall back, trip, and then say, what do I do?
I think be like the lotus. See the lotus leaf, that's why Padma Patram Eva Ambasa, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, just as a lotus grows in the mud, but then is able to come out of the mud and spread its fragrance, does not let the mud affect or contaminate it. So same way, as long as my goal is clear, whether people follow or not, it should not matter, number one. Number two, even if they make fun of it, it's okay, that's their ignorance. As long as I know what my goal is, I have to be very firm. A day or two, and then if we are getting diverted, that means you're not again and again reading. So the Bhagavad Gita should be read every day. The Upanishads, all the scriptures should be read every day. And if you have Gurudev's commentary, this one, if not, you can buy that from the Toronto Center. And it is the 18 chapters. And every day one should read 2 verses of the Bhagavad Gita, 2 shlokas. So in 1 year, you will read the entire Bhagavad Gita. And so again and again reading. And then these talks are also on firstpower.info. They are on YouTube. They are on Facebook. So you can listen to them. All the 18 chapters of mine have been put on firstpower.info. It's called, by Tony. Tony, I have to thank him. He logs in every week. So you can listen to these talks again, read the Bhagavad Gita, and then be firm in your belief. And if the belief deviates, just pray to God, please give me the strength. And ultimately what will happen is that when you change, or when the individual changes, the people around will see the benefit of it.
Exactly.
And if they see, fine. If not, pray for them. Bhagwan, maybe your grace has not yet descended on them. So at least I have my clear understanding, and one should not deviate, because this is the only path. And once we know that, then it's like somebody tells you that from Toronto, this is the way to Montreal. Once you're on the highway and then somebody else stops you and says, no, get off and take another road, you are not going to, because you have been told by your GPS, this is the highway to take to Montreal. So similarly, this is the highway to enlightenment that the Bhagavad Gita has been given. And if somebody doesn't follow, that's their problem. I don't think one should get deviated.
Yeah, but I just, the thing is, I am okay. Like I'm going, I feel that I'm getting better. I see some changes in me. And then something like that happened. And then I'm disturbed for many, many days, though I try to come back, but it takes me much longer to come back. And then I am there. And then as I surrounded by people who don't see things the way I started seeing things now. So how to stop myself getting disturbed?
Yeah. Remember Mirabai. Remember Mirabai. Oh, please, just pray to Mirabai every day. Just read her story every day, what she did, how much she faced, and how she was able to Bhagwan. So just read the lives of saints. There is no better way to strengthen us. Read the life of Tukaram, how much problems he had, how much problems Narsi Mehta had, how much problems Mirabai had, how much problems Pranaji had. You can read about Sri Pranaji, how many difficulties he had facing the Muslims and everything. All the saints, how many problems Jesus, Sant Gyaneshwar, they were thrown out of the village. So just read the lives of saints. Just pray to Mirabai every day. That's all you need. She will give you a lot of strength. At least I have very strong connection or feelings for Mirabai, and that is the best way. The more you remember her, the more strength you will get. Because she's the perfect example of what you are facing, much worse.
Okay.
Thank you for the nice question. Thank you so much.
A
lot of people have this question.
Om na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Om Arati Shri Chinmaya Sadguru ki Divya Rupa Murati Karuna ki आरती सद्गुरु की। चरणों में उनके शांति समाये, शरणागत की प्रांति मिटाए, पाप ताप संताप हरण की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। वेद उपनिषद गीता गोकाया, धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया। शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्ध बाड़ी की तपोभूमि में, नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे। भक्त हृदय आनंद शोट की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की।
बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Everybody can please take the aarti. Then we can do the closing prayer. Sneha, go ahead.
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा, बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभाव। करोमि अद्य सकलं परस्मै, नारायणायेति समर्पयामि, नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Hari Om. See you next week.